My 200,000 yuan year-end bonus had barely hit my account when my husband pressured me to send it to his mother. To everyone else, he was the perfect husband, always home on time, never controlling, did all the chores, and had endless patience with our daughter. The only catch? His mother controlled his paycheck. That night, Wang Lei walked into the bedroom, rubbing his hands nervously. "Honey, your year-end bonus came in, right?" His voice was unusually cautious. "Mom called about it today." My hand paused mid-makeup removal as I watched him through the mirror. "It came in." He quickly added, "Then let's transfer it tomorrow. Mom says her investment opportunity closes soon." I set down the cotton pad and turned to face him. "Wang Lei, have you ever calculated how much we've given your mother over the past 5 years?" He froze, then gave me an uncomfortable look. "You know Dad died young. Mom raised me alone, and it wasn't easy. She's managing our money because she wants what's best for us." "What's best for us?" I cut him off. "Then why are we still in this tiny apartment? Why did we spend 6 months debating a new car? Why do I agonize over buying myself anything that costs more than 1,000 yuan?" The questions left him speechless. We had this argument every year, and every year I was the one who gave in. "Honey, calm down. Mom said she's only holding the money temporarily. When we buy a second home, she'll give it all back." "Temporarily?" I nearly laughed. "We haven't paid off the first mortgage. What second home?" "We'll talk tomorrow. I'm tired." I cut him off and walked into the bathroom. Hot water ran over me as I closed my eyes. I thought about the transfer offer I'd received that afternoon. 3 years at the Haicheng branch, double the salary, and a promotion. I still hadn't answered my boss. When I came out, Wang Lei was already in bed, scrolling through his phone. I sat at the vanity and saw him hesitating in the mirror. "Honey." He finally put down his phone. Mom just messaged again. I spun around. "Wang Lei, do you know how much Nuanuan's preschool costs next term? Do you know our monthly mortgage, car payment, and living expenses? Do you know how long I've been working overtime to support this family?" He opened his mouth, then lowered his head. That night, I lay with my back to him and didn't sleep at all. The next morning was Saturday. Wang Lei made a huge breakfast and carefully tried to win me over, just like he did every year around bonus time. "Honey," Mom called again. "She said the bank closes at 4. He put an egg on Nuanuan's plate and watched me carefully. I set down my chopsticks. "Let's go, right now." His face lit up as if a massive weight had been lifted. On the way to the bank, he even hummed. I stared silently out the window, wondering how many people around us were hiding a breaking point beneath a calm surface. At the counter, when the teller confirmed the amount, my heart clenched. 200,000 yuan, an entire year of overtime, business dinners, and stress, vanished into someone else's account with one click. His mother called almost the second the transfer went through. "Lele, I got the money." Her voice came through the phone loud and clear. "I knew my son would come through. When you visit for New Year, I'll give you a huge red envelope." Wang Lei laughed along, glowing with pride at her approval. In that moment, I felt completely drained. Back home, I locked myself in the study and filled out the transfer application. My cursor hovered over submit for a long time before I finally clicked. Decision made. An hour later, my boss called. "Haicheng will be challenging, but it'll be great for your career. Can you be ready in 1 week?" "Yes." My voice was so calm it surprised even me. At dinner, Wang Lei was peeling shrimp for Nuanuan. I put down my chopsticks and said clearly, "I applied for a 3-year posting at the Haicheng branch." His hand jerked and the shrimp fell onto the table. "What? When did this happen?" "I decided today." "Why didn't you discuss it with me?" "Discuss it with you or with your mother?" He choked, his face turning from red to pale. "Honey, don't joke like that. It isn't funny." "I'm not joking." I kept eating. "I leave next Wednesday." He stared at me for a long time, trying to decide whether I was serious. Finally, he smiled in relief. "Fine, you win. I shouldn't have pushed you to transfer the money. Stop sulking. This joke has gone far enough." He thought I was throwing a tantrum, that this was just another protest and I'd be back to normal in a few days. I didn't explain. Over the next few days, I packed, handled the paperwork, and found a place in Haicheng. Wang Lei still thought it was all for show. He even helped fold my clothes. "Come back after a few days, don't drag this out," he joked as I got into the car. I rolled down the window and took one last look at the home I'd built for 5 years. "Wang Lei," I said seriously, "this is the last bonus I'll ever send your mother." He waved it off. Okay, I know you're upset. We'll talk when you get back." The car pulled away and his reflection shrank in the mirror until it disappeared. My phone buzzed with a voice message from his mother. "Xiaojing, I heard you're traveling for work. Come back early for New Year. The relatives are visiting and there's so much to prepare." I didn't reply. As the plane took off and the city shrank below me, I felt lighter than I ever had before. 1 month later, I stood in my new Haicheng office overlooking the unfamiliar city at night. My phone kept vibrating on the desk. Wang Lei, 18 missed calls. I finally answered. "Honey, when are you coming back? The mortgage payment failed today. The bank says there's not enough money in my account." He sounded anxious and confused. I walked to the window and saw my calm reflection in the glass. "Ask your mother." I hung up and switched my phone to silent. The call stopped for exactly 3 minutes. From the 23rd floor window, I watched headlights stream below. Haicheng was far brighter than home, its neon glow lighting half the sky. My phone buzzed again. Mother-in-law flashed on the screen. I let it ring. I poured myself a glass of water at the perfect temperature. The apartment was small, but everything reflected my taste. Clean Scandinavian lines, none of the carved rosewood furniture his mother had forced into our home. The phone finally stopped, then lit up again with a video call. I took a sip and answered. His mother's face filled the screen. Behind her was the familiar living room, dominated by the antique-style sofa she'd personally chosen. Xiaojing, what's going on? Lele says the mortgage wasn't paid. She frowned, using her usual scolding tone. The bank is already calling. Do you know what this does to your credit? I set down my glass. Mom, I'm working. We'll talk later. Working. What job matters more than your family? Transfer the money to Lele. He's a man. He doesn't understand these things. Neither did I cut in. Haven't you handled everything for the past 5 years? She visibly froze. She clearly hadn't expected me to talk back. What kind of attitude is that? Is it wrong for me to manage your money? Without me, would you have saved a single cent? Then where are the savings? I asked. Her face turned red. Come home immediately. You've been gone this long and abandoned your own child. Nuanuan is doing great with my parents. As for coming back, that's not happening anytime soon. Wang Lei suddenly squeezed into the frame. His eyes were bloodshot, as if he hadn't slept in days. Honey, can you stop this? I know you're angry. I promise I won't give her next year's bonus, okay? I looked at his exhausted yet still clueless face and almost laughed. Wang Lei, this isn't a tantrum. Then what is it? All this over 200,000 yuan? Is it really worth it? Worth it? I repeated with a quiet laugh. 5 years, 137 million yuan. Is that worth it? The other end went silent. The number stunned them. For the first time in 5 years, I'd laid out the full total. What nonsense! There's no way it was that much! His mother snapped. Want the itemized records? Starting in our second year of marriage, Wang Lei's bonuses plus every investment fund you asked for. I can send it all right now. I opened my laptop. You're keeping score with me? Did I raise my son for nothing, pay for his education for nothing? He gets married and forgets his mother, she shrieked. There it was, the classic line. Wang Lei weakly said, Mom, don't get upset. Watching the same old performance, I felt nothing but exhaustion. Mom, I interrupted again, if raising your son was such a loss, then you don't need to sacrifice anything else for us. What do you mean? I mean, your problems are yours to solve. I ended the call and turned off my phone. Haicheng glittered outside like a galaxy, and I knew the real storm was only beginning. When Wang Lei appeared at my Haicheng apartment, I was surprised. Not that he'd found the address, but by how awful he looked. Wrinkled shirt, messy hair, and bloodshot eyes. Why are you here? I blocked the doorway, making no move to let him in. Honey, he rasped, can we talk? I'm working. I checked my watch. And you shouldn't leave Nuanuan home alone. Mom's watching her. I took 2 days off and caught the first train here, he explained quickly. A neighbor passed and stared curiously. Eventually, I stepped aside and let him in. He stood in the living room, taking in the clean, simple one-bedroom apartment with a complicated expression. Nice place. He forced a bitter smile. Better than home. Get to the point. Why are you here? I leaned against the dining table with my arms folded. He took a deep breath. The bank sent a final notice. If we miss next week's payment, they'll start foreclosure. I nodded. And? He looked wounded. And? That's our home. Nuanuan grew up there. All our memories are there. It's your home. The moment you sent your first bonus to your mother, it became a home for you and her. Here we go again. You're destroying this family over money, over such a small amount. A small amount? I laughed coldly. For 5 years, I've covered 80% of our expenses, while you don't even know what your own bank card looks like. He froze, opened his mouth, and couldn't say a word. You don't know because you never had to. Utilities, property fees, heating, tuition, car payments, insurance, I handled all of it. You only handed your paycheck to Mommy, then handed her my money too. She did it for us, he repeated weakly, using the same excuse he'd used for 5 years. For us? I took a document from my desk. Look at this. His fingers trembled as he took it. It was a financial report I'd prepared overnight, listing both our incomes and every household expense from the past 5 years. Impossible. His face went pale as he flipped through it. How could we have spent this much? Because you never looked at a bill. You're like a child who gives his paycheck to Mommy and assumes money magically appears at home. He collapsed into a chair and covered his face. After a long silence, he looked up with one last trace of hope. Even if I was wrong, can we talk at home? Just transfer this month's mortgage, 48,000 yuan. Then we'll work everything out slowly. Looking at his still naive face, I felt bone-tired. Wang Lei, I have only 3,000 yuan left in my account. What about your salary? Didn't you just get paid? I paid rent here, prepaid Nuanuan's new preschool fees, and sent some money to my parents. They're taking her on a trip next month. Then transfer the mortgage money first. I can't let the house be auctioned. Mom won't be able to handle it. Mom again. I opened the door. Go home, Wang Lei. He stood, his pleading expression turning angry. Lin Jing, do you really have to be this heartless? Hai Cheng's sunlight stretched his shadow across the floor. Heartless? I repeated softly, then shook my head. Go home and ask your mother whether that 200,000 yuan bonus still exists. Wang Lei left like a defeated rooster. I shut the door and slowly slid down against it. The floor was cold, but my mind had never been clearer. My phone buzzed with a video from my mother, Nuan at the playground, pigtails bouncing as she grinned. Mom wrote, "She's adjusted really well, don't worry." I watched until the screen went dark, then got up to pack. I had an unexpected 3-day business trip the next morning. Wang Lei got home sooner than I expected. He went straight to his mother's old house where she lived alone instead of their usual meeting place. Where's the money? His mother was arranging flowers, scissors frozen in midair. What money? The mortgage, Mom, tomorrow is the bank's final deadline, Wang Lei said, close to tears. She calmly trimmed a lily. Why panic? Would I ever let you lose your home? Xiao Jing won't pay. I only have a few hundred yuan left. The scissors snapped, and the lily's head dropped. She won't give you a cent? His legs weakened, and he fell onto the sofa. She says she's broke, too. Like hell she is. His mother put down the scissors. I know what she earns. She just refuses to pay. Mom, forget that for now. Lend me 48,000 yuan so I can cover the emergency. Her expression shifted. Sit down. I'll get you some water. Wang Lei waited 10 minutes. She returned with tea and a troubled look. Lei, she said after a sip, I don't have that much cash right now. Then transfer it. What I mean is, she set down her cup. I don't have that much in my account either. The room went still. I could almost picture the disbelief slowly cracking across Wang Lei's face. Then where's my bonus? 200,000 yuan, and it's only been a month. She shot to her feet. Are you interrogating your own mother? No, I'm asking where the money is. We need it right now. Money, money, money. Is that all you care about? Do you know how much I spent raising you? And now you're counting pennies with your own mother? Classic deflection. But this time, Wang Lei didn't back down like he usually did. Mom, where is the money? She froze, then burst into tears. Your father died young. I raised you all by myself, and now you've married a wife and teamed up against me. For the first time, Wang Lei simply watched her performance instead of comforting her. When her sobs faded, he asked again. Did you give it to Uncle again? Her crying stopped instantly. I was in a meeting at a client's office when Wang Lei called. Uncle, his voice sounded distant. Mom lent Uncle the money again, all of it. I stepped into the hallway. My bonus, plus everything she claimed she was saving for us. She lent it all to Uncle's business. I leaned against the wall and laughed silently. Exactly as I'd expected. Every cent she'd taken from us over 5 years had gone to her brother's failing business, which had never made real money. Honey, Wang Lei pleaded, what are we supposed to do now? Sunlight stretched across the hallway floor. We? I repeated softly. Silence answered me. Wang Lei, there is no we. That ended the first time you took the money I worked for and poured it into the bottomless pit of your mother and uncle. I know I was wrong. I really do, he begged. Can we just get through this crisis first? The client's assistant signaled that the meeting was resuming, and I still had a proposal to present. Figure it out yourself. Before I hung up, I heard him shout desperately, That's our home! I ended the call and straightened my blazer. No, it had never been my home. The presentation was a success. The client signed immediately, and my director said my name would definitely be on the year-end promotion list. Outside the office tower, the Hai Cheng breeze brought back a similar night 5 years earlier. Wang Lei and I had been married for 6 months, and I'd just closed another major deal. We celebrated at a street stall. Holding up a beer bottle, he said, Honey, our life is only going to get better. Beer foam splashed his hand, and I wiped it away, laughing. Back then, he truly believed we'd build a future together. That same night, his mother first offered to manage our money. Young people don't understand finances. I'll save it for you so you can buy a bigger home someday. Wang Lei covered the phone and asked what I thought. I was celebrating a big win and had been drinking, so I nodded carelessly. It became the nod I regretted most in my life. Wang Lei sent more than a dozen voice messages. I started with the first. Honey, Uncle says he'll repay us next month. Mom promised she'll stop controlling my money. The bank will send a legal notice tomorrow. Can you lend me something? Maybe in advance from your bonus? His voice went from anxious to desperate. In the last message, he was nearly sobbing. Nuan asked when Mommy is coming home. She misses you. I closed the voice messages and started a video call. Nuan's little face appeared immediately. Mommy! She waved excitedly. Grandma bought me a new dress. It's so pretty. I smiled. Did you have fun at preschool today? Yes, my teacher said my drawing was really good. Then she lowered her voice. Mommy, when are you coming to get me? Daddy says you're on a business trip. Soon. I promise I'll come as soon as work is done. What about Daddy? He visited yesterday. His eyes were red like he'd been crying. My heart tightened. Daddy was probably just tired. Nguyen nodded, only half understanding. Remember to come get me, Mommy. After the call ended, I stared at the dark screen for a long time. At least Wang Lei still remembered to visit his daughter. At 11 p.m., the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Wang Lei again. He looked worse than before and was holding a suitcase. "My hotel booking ended," he said hoarsely. "I can't afford another night." I opened the door, but made no move to let him inside. "So, can I stay one night?" "Just one. I'll catch the first train home tomorrow morning." "That wouldn't be appropriate. We're separated now." "Separated?" He looked as if he'd never heard the word. "When did we separate?" "The moment your mother took my 200,000 yuan." He froze in the doorway, his suitcase wheel caught in the gap. "All this over money? You're abandoning our family just because of money?" I almost laughed. "Wang Lei, do you remember the little apartment we lived in after we got married?" He paused. "Yes. Mom said it was too small and insisted we buy our current place." "Right. My parents paid the down payment and I paid the mortgage for 2 years. When we sold it, we made 400,000 yuan in profit." His expression told me he'd completely forgotten that money. "Where did it go?" I asked. "Didn't it go toward the new home's down payment?" "The new down payment was 3 million yuan. Your mother contributed 800,000. The rest came from my savings and loans. So where did that 400,000 go?" He opened his mouth but had no answer. "Mom said she'd hold it as our emergency fund." I answered for him. "Well, I have an emergency now. Where's the money?" The motion sensor light went out, leaving us facing each other in darkness. "I'll get it back," he finally said, "every last cent." The light came back on, revealing his flushed face. "Fine," I said softly. "Come back when you do." As I closed the door, I heard him slide down against it onto the floor. That night, I stayed inside and he stayed outside, just like our 5-year marriage, always divided by a closed door. There was always an invisible door between us. At 6 a.m. the next morning, I opened the door and found Wang Lei curled up asleep in the hallway, his suitcase tipped over beside him. He looked 10 years older, unshaven, with his suit wrinkled beyond recognition. I pressed the elevator button. His voice was hoarse. "Where are you going?" "To work." I didn't look back. "We're not done talking." The elevator opened. I stepped inside and hit close. "We'll talk after work." As the doors shut, I caught one last glimpse of his devastated face. I buried myself in work all day. The new project demanded my full attention, which was exactly what I needed. During lunch, I got a text from my mother-in-law. Wang Lei came home and immediately fought with his uncle. "Happy now?" I didn't reply. 5 minutes later, another text arrived. "This is all your fault. You tore a perfectly good family apart." I blocked her number. At 3 p.m., Wang Lei called my office line. "I found Uncle, but he won't pay the money back, so could you maybe—" "No." The line went silent for a long time. "You're really going to stand by and watch this family fall apart?" I looked at the proposal on my screen, the result of countless late nights with my Haicheng team. This family fell apart a long time ago. Wang Lei, the moment you first let your mother control our finances, our marriage became a shell. He hung up. After work, Wang Lei was waiting outside my office again. This time he looked even worse, with a bruised lip and a torn shirt collar. "Did you fight with your uncle?" He wiped a hand across his face. "He refused to pay us back. He also insulted you." "What did he call me?" "A homewrecker." He avoided my eyes. I gave a dry laugh. A man I'd barely met had somehow found an old-fashioned label to blame me with. "And then?" "Mom took his side," Wang Lei said quietly. "She called me ungrateful and said I'd abandoned my own mother for my wife. Classic mother-in-law logic. A son must always side with his mother, even when she's clearly wrong. "So what are you going to do?" I asked. He suddenly grabbed my arm. "Can we start over? Just us and Nuanyuan. I won't let Mom interfere anymore." I gently pulled away. "It's too late." "No, it isn't," he said desperately. "Tomorrow I'll take back my salary card. From now on, you control all the money." "Wang Lei," I cut in. "This was never about who controls the money. It's that your mother always comes first. Even now, you don't truly understand what you did wrong. You're just out of options." Night settled in and the streetlights flickered on one by one. We stood in the crowded street like two strangers. "What do you want me to do? Get on my knees and beg?" I shook my head. "Go home, Wang Lei." "What home?" "The house is about to be auctioned. Mom and Uncle hate each other now. My wife and daughter are gone." He crouched on the sidewalk with his head in his hands while strangers stared. I looked down at the man I once loved, now penniless and broken on a street far from home, and felt absolutely nothing. "I booked you a hotel for tonight," I said. "One last night." He looked up, a flicker of hope in his eyes. "And then?" "Then you're on your own." I turned toward the subway. After a few steps, I looked back. "One more thing. I hired a lawyer. The divorce papers will reach you soon." The streetlight fell across his face. I might remember that expression for a long time, but I knew I would never give in. Not even once. The legal papers were sent to arrive on Wang Lei's birthday. It wasn't some cruel curse. It was simply the date I remembered best. I'd carefully planned his last 5 birthdays, while his mother always called at just the right moment to complain that we were wasting money. Winter comes late to Haicheng. Even in early December, people still walked around in t-shirts. I stood by the law firm's floor-to-ceiling window, watching traffic below and imagining the papers reaching him. My phone rang. It was exactly the call I'd expected. "Lin Jing, what is this? You want a divorce and full custody of Nuanyuan?" Wang Lei's voice blasted through the phone. The papers are very clear. No chance I won't agree. Then I'll see you in court. Heavy breathing filled the line as he struggled to contain his anger. This is all about money? You're taking our daughter too? Exactly, because you have no money. You can't even support yourself, so how will you support her? He had no answer. Then I heard his mother's shrill voice in the background. Let her sue! We'll see who the court gives the child to. How ridiculous. Even now, she still believes she controlled everything. Wang Lei, I said, pulling his attention back. Have you checked the debts under your name? What debts? Of course, he had no idea. Besides the bank mortgage, the house was used as collateral for 3 more loans, last March, last July, and this January. The line went dead silent. Impossible, he finally whispered. Mom said they were normal investments. Normal investments don't require putting your house up as collateral. Go check. While you were busy being the perfect son, your mother borrowed over 2 million yuan against our home for your uncle. He slammed down the phone. I put mine away and nodded to the lawyer. That should keep him quiet for a few days. 3 days later, Wang Lei appeared outside my Haicheng apartment. He didn't ring the bell. He just crouched in the hallway like a homeless man. When I came home, he looked up with bloodshot eyes. You were right, he rasped. The house was mortgaged 3 times. I unlocked the door. Come in, we'll talk. He stumbled inside and collapsed onto the couch. Mom admitted it. He covered his face. Uncle's business failed and he needed cash. She thought he'd repay it quickly. She thought that every single time. I set a glass of water in front of him. He stared at it, then laughed, a sound more painful than crying. I'm such an idiot, aren't I? 5 years and I lived like a complete fool. I said nothing. The bank came yesterday, he continued. If we miss another payment, they'll start the foreclosure auction next month. He looked up with a resolve I'd never seen before. I'm suing them. I raised an eyebrow. Who? Mom and Uncle, he said slowly, for fraud. That genuinely shocked me. The devoted son mask had finally been ripped away, exposing the brutal truth underneath. Are you sure? They destroyed my life. He jumped up and knocked over the water. My house, my money, my family, everything is gone. Water spread across the floor like a river of despair. Watching him fall apart, I suddenly remembered how sincere he'd looked reciting our wedding vows. Wang Lei, I said softly, you let them destroy your life. He froze, then slowly slid to the floor and began to cry. A grown man's sobs came out strangled, as if dragged from the deepest part of his chest. I didn't comfort him. I brought over a mop and slowly cleaned the water. Only after he'd cried himself empty did I speak. Did you read the divorce agreement? He nodded, his eyes swollen and red. Nuanuan lives with me. You pay monthly child support. Any problem with that? He shook his head with a bitter smile. I can barely support myself now. So you agree? He stayed silent so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Finally, he asked, is there really no chance for us? The mop swirled through the bucket with a soft splash. There stopped being a chance the first time you let your mother take my money. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Fine, I'll sign. Outside, the sun set, and the last light faded from the room. I knew that chapter was finally over. Wang Lei signed and left. He didn't fight for custody or ask to divide assets. There was nothing left to divide. The house was headed for auction, the car loan wasn't paid off, our savings were zero, and all that remained was debt. He walked away, hunched over like an old man. I gave the signed agreement to my lawyer and took 3 days off. Not because I was heartbroken, but because I needed time to put myself back together. On the first day, I went to the beach alone. The winter wind was cold, but the sun was warm. I took off my shoes and let the sand run between my toes. For the first time in 5 years, even breathing felt free. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Mom. Nuanuan wants to talk to you. Mommy, when are you coming to get me? My daughter asked brightly. Tomorrow, I said. Mommy will pick you up tomorrow. Really? She squealed. Is Daddy coming too? Waves rolled onto the shore, white foam appearing and disappearing. Daddy isn't coming right now, I said honestly. Would you like to live with Mommy from now on? The line went quiet. Like Xiaomi's mom and dad? Xiaomi was her kindergarten friend whose parents had divorced the year before. Something like that. She thought for a moment. Will Daddy still come see me? Of course. That was a promise I could keep. Whatever Wang Lei's flaws, his love for our daughter was real. After the call, I sat on the beach for a long time. The tide came and went, washing away every footprint. The next day, I went to pick up Nuanuan. Mom's eyes turned red the moment she saw me. You've lost weight. I've been busy, I said lightly. Nuanuan shot into my arms like a little rocket. Mommy! Holding her warm body, I suddenly knew every struggle had been worth it. On the train back to Haicheng, Nuanuan leaned close and whispered, Mommy, are you mad because Grandma took our money? I stared at her in surprise. My 5-year-old understood far more than I'd imagined. Who told you that? I heard Grandma and Uncle talking, she said, blinking up at me. Daddy's mom always gave our money to Great Uncle, right? I hugged her tighter. Mommy will handle the grown-up stuff. You just focus on being happy. She rested on my shoulder and played with my hair. Mommy, I like my new teacher. She doesn't keep asking about Grandma like my old teacher did. My chest tightened. Your old teacher asked about her? Yeah, she nodded. Grandma always picked me up and brought the teacher gifts. My mother-in-law's reach had gone even further than I'd realized. On our first night in the new home, Nuanwan slept soundly. I woke at 3 a.m. and couldn't fall back asleep. An unread text from an unknown number waited on my phone. Lin Jing, this is Wang Lei's mother. For the child's sake, you can't do this. We're family. Why can't we sit down and talk? I deleted it. 5 minutes later, another arrived. Wang Lei sued his uncle. Happy now? This family is completely destroyed. I blocked the number. Outside, Haicheng's skyline still glittered. I remembered Wang Lei's last look, anger and despair at being betrayed, but he was the one who betrayed this family first. I got up, poured myself water, opened my laptop, and went back to work. The new proposal still needed revisions, and I couldn't hold up the team. At sunrise, Nuanwan shuffled out of the bedroom, rubbing her eyes. Mommy, I dreamed about Daddy. I closed my laptop. What was Daddy doing? Crying. She leaned against my leg. Mommy, will Daddy be okay someday? Sunlight poured through the window, drawing bright squares across the floor. He will, I said, stroking her hair. Everyone eventually finds their version of okay. Me, Wang Lei, even his mother. It just means something different to each person. My phone rang. It was Director Lee. The client loves the new project. The team is celebrating tonight and you have to come. Okay, I'll be there on time. After hanging up, I lifted Nuanwan into my arms. Sweetheart, Mommy has work after taking you to kindergarten. Auntie Lin will pick you up tonight. The Auntie Lin who makes cookies? That's her, Nuanwan clapped. Then I want chocolate ones. Life kept moving, carrying scars and hope together, and I finally learned to put myself first. The team celebration was held at a rooftop bar, with Haicheng's lights spilling below us like a river of stars. Jing, this one's for you, our new intern Xiao Yang said, raising his glass. Working with you is amazing. I've learned so much this month. I clinked glasses with him, the city lights shimmering in the wine. The young people on my team were energetic and ambitious. They knew nothing about my past. They only respected my ability, and that felt wonderful. Lin Jing, I have news. Director Lee sat beside me. Shanghai headquarters has a 6-month executive training spot. I recommended you. My hand paused around my glass. It was the kind of opportunity people fought desperately to get. Do you need time to think? Director Lee raised an eyebrow. You used to be our most decisive person. The words used to caught me off guard. The Lin Jing who had hesitated through her marriage felt like someone from another lifetime. I'll go, I said. Director Lee smiled. I knew you hadn't changed. Make arrangements for Nuanwan. The company covers everything. It was late when I got home. Nuanwan was asleep under Auntie Lin's care. On the coffee table was her drawing, 3 figures holding hands, though one stood far away. She asked when her dad was coming, Auntie Lin said softly. I nodded. Thank you. I know today was a lot. I stood alone on the balcony in the cool night air and called Wang Lei. I got straight to the point. Nuanwan misses you. The line was quiet for a moment. I probably can't visit her anytime soon. Why? Mom's in the hospital with high blood pressure. Uncle pushed her over the edge. He sounded exhausted. I almost laughed. Even now, he still chose to stay by his mother's side. Wang Lei, your daughter needs her father too. I know, but I really can't leave. His voice cracked. Uncle ran off and left a crowd of creditors behind. Mom nearly had a stroke. The city's neon lights blinked in the distance like a party that would never end. So your choice is still the same, I said quietly. The line went silent for a long time. My training lasts 6 months. I'm taking Nuanwan to Shanghai next week. I cut in. Use that time to deal with your mess. Before hanging up, I added, don't forget, you used to be a good father. That weekend, I took Nuanwan to an amusement park. She waved from the carousel, smiling in the sunshine. Mommy, does Shanghai have a park this big? Even bigger, she cheered. Then she suddenly grew quiet. What if Daddy comes to Shanghai and can't find the amusement park? I patted her head. Daddy has GPS. As we left the park, we ran into someone unexpected, Wang Lei's uncle. He'd lost a lot of weight, and none of his old confidence remained. Lin Jing, he stood awkwardly. Can we talk? I moved Nuanwan behind me. We have nothing to discuss. Just 5 minutes, he said quickly. I know I wronged you, but I truly have nowhere else to turn. And? I stared at him coldly. Could you convince Wang Lei to drop the lawsuit? I'll repay the money. I just need more time. His voice grew smaller with every word. I almost applauded. Even now, he still believed everything could somehow be fixed. Do you know how much your sister borrowed against my daughter's home? He froze. 2.4 million yuan, I said slowly. 200,000 of that was my year-end bonus. Nuanwan gripped my hand. His face went white. I didn't know it was that much. Of course you didn't, I said softly. People like you only ever see your own problems. I turned away with Nuanuan. Behind me, he shouted, "We're family. Why do you have to be so ruthless?" I didn't turn around. Family? They stopped being family the moment they started treating me like an ATM. The night before we left for Shanghai, Wang Lei finally came. He stood at the door holding a doll for Nuanuan, thin enough to look almost unrecognizable. "Can I see her? Just for a minute?" I stepped aside. Nuanuan was asleep. He sat by her bed for 10 minutes and his eyes were red when he came out. "Thank you." "You're welcome." At the door, he looked back. "Take care of yourself in Shanghai." "I always have." He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say more, but finally just nodded. After closing the door, I leaned against it. His muffled crying continued outside for a long time. This time, I felt nothing. While packing, I found a new drawing in Nuanuan's sketchbook, a little girl holding Mommy's hand with one hand and Daddy's with the other. All three were smiling. I stood there for a long time, then gently closed the book. Some wounds heal with time, some never do. Either way, life keeps moving. The next day, Nuanuan and I boarded the high-speed train to Shanghai. As the train pulled away, she pressed against the window. "Mommy, how far is Shanghai?" "Very far." "Will we come back?" I watched the scenery rush backward and answered softly, "We'll keep going somewhere better." Life in Shanghai felt like someone hit fast forward. Executive training was more intense than expected, with classes until 8 p.m. Luckily, the company provided an apartment and childcare to pick up Nuanuan after school. On weekends, we explored the city, the breeze along the Bund, fireworks at Disneyland, and soup dumplings near City God Temple. In a strange city, we made new memories without the shadow of the past. "Mommy, I like our new home," Nuanuan said one night, hugging my neck. "Why?" "Because it's just you and me here." She blinked at me. "And you smile more than before." Children always notice what adults try to hide. In the 3rd month of training, Director Li came to Shanghai on business and invited me to dinner. "Headquarters is impressed with you," she said, cutting her steak. "After training, there's an opening for South China Regional Director based in Shenzhen." My hand paused around my wine glass. Another life-changing opportunity. "You're hesitating," Director Li said, studying me. "Because of Nuanuan's father?" I shook my head. "This has nothing to do with him. I realize I don't need to take the biggest opportunity just to prove something. I need the one that's best for Nuanuan and me." Director Li raised an eyebrow. "You've changed." "I've grown up." In the end, I accepted a different position, Deputy Director for East China, still based in Shanghai. The salary was slightly lower, but the hours were far more flexible. The day I signed the contract, I took Nuanuan out for her favorite ice cream. "Mommy, are we going to live in Shanghai forever? Do you like it here?" She nodded hard. "I love it." Then she dug into her ice cream and added, "I just wish Daddy could come too." The ice cream slowly melted in the cup. I stroked her hair and said nothing. Wang Lei eventually came to Shanghai. The weekend before training ended, he appeared outside our apartment, clean-shaven and wearing a neatly pressed shirt. He looked much more like himself. "I'm here on business," he said. "I thought I'd see Nuanuan too." This time, I let him upstairs. Nuanuan excitedly dragged him through every room, talking non-stop. He listened patiently, occasionally glancing at me with a complicated expression. After spending the afternoon with her, he handed me an envelope before leaving. "What's this?" "My first child support payment. I found a new job. It doesn't pay what the old one did, but I'll pay on time." I accepted the envelope. It was heavier than I'd expected. "How's your mother?" "She's out of the hospital and back in the old house." He stared at his shoes. "I auctioned our house. After paying off the secured loans, I put what was left into an account for Nuanuan." That genuinely surprised me. "And your uncle?" "No idea. He disappeared." He gave a bitter smile. Mom finally admitted she was scammed. Too bad it was too late. The elevator arrived. He stepped inside, then turned around. "Lin Jing, I'm sorry." The elevator doors slowly closed, cutting off his gaze. That night, Nuanuan bounced on the bed. "Daddy said he'll take me to the aquarium next time." "That sounds fun," I said, straightening her pajamas. "Mommy." She suddenly went quiet. "Will you and Daddy ever get back together?" I sat beside her and pulled her close. "Mommy and Daddy will always love you. We just won't live together." She nodded without fully understanding and soon fell asleep in my arms. On the final day of training, the company held a graduation reception. I wore a sharp black suit dress and stepped on stage to receive my certificate as camera flashes filled the room. Once, my biggest dream was to be a good wife and mother and keep a perfect family together. Now I stood there alone, yet I had never felt more complete. Halfway through the reception, Wang Lei texted, "I saw the photo your company posted. Congratulations. You look incredible." The link led to an article on the company website. In the center photo, I was smiling with confidence. I replied, "Thank you, nothing more." I put down my phone and accepted a glass of champagne from a server. Golden bubbles rose through the glass. Shanghai glittered beyond the window, and my new journey was only beginning.